Hi, I'm Venus O'Hara and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to talk about or share with you 5 tips for offline dating. If you've been watching my videos, you will know that I'm not a big fan of online dating, and it's very popular these days, and I can understand that it's definitely fulfilling a need, and lots of people use dating apps, etc. But for me, oh my God, I have tried it. Well, not dating apps, but like kind of online dating things. And oh my God, I just hate those situations of going to a bar or a cafe and meeting someone that you've met online, and then you don't really know if they're going to look like their photo or who it is. You're kind of feeling, what if you say hello to the wrong person? It's just like really awkward. I mean, some people love that, but for me, I just find it painful. And I promised myself that I would never do it again, but then never say never. And recently I did have a couple of dates with people I'd met online, and it was just like, oh my God. They were kind of nice guys and stuff, but it made me think that maybe that's just not for me. And I think I prefer to get to know people over time in a more organic way. And then one day my perception of that person might change. I'm not really kind of like a love at first sight type of person. But anyway, what about you? Have you got any tips on this? Do you think online dating is painful? I'd love to know that in the comments below. But now I'm going to share some 5 offline dating tips with you. And I know it's been very difficult after pandemic's still kind of on, but fortunately there are kind of less restrictions now, but it's been very difficult just being at home and everything being shut. That's been very difficult for dating, I think. So anyway, my number 1 tip would be to get busy. I think that's really important in terms of having an active social life and trying to fill up your calendar with lots of things that you enjoy and varied activities as well. I think it's good to kind of look. This also depends on where you live, because not all places have the same social opportunities. But I think it's good to kind of see what's going on and even just sign up to things that you're not quite, you don't even think you're going to enjoy, maybe, or you might not think, or you might not know. I mean, that could be things like that are related to sports, to hobbies, to dancing, to walking. Dance classes, I think, is a great thing to do because it's a real kind of icebreaker, and it's fun, and it can help with your coordination, and it can just be a very kind of light-hearted way to meet people. And yeah, anything that's kind of physical and maybe hobbies or interests, anything that's cultural as well. I think it's good to have a whole variety of things and try and have things most days of the week if you can. And I think when you're in that mindset of being busy, then you will, attract. I think the first step is definitely a social life. But anyway, I'm going to go on to my number 2 point, which is say yes. I think this is really important if people invite you to things, to always say yes, unless it's something that you really don't want to do, of course. But I think it's good to have an open mind. And in my podcast, actually, I always ask my guests, what is the quote that you live by? And more than one person has told me to say yes to things. Because when you say yes, it's like you're opening up to new opportunities. And it's like the film Yes Man with Jim Carrey. And I haven't seen that film. I'd love to see it. But it's once you say yes and you open one door, you don't know what's coming after. And it can be quite incredible. And you could really, really surprise yourself. I remember when I was living in Paris, and I met all these Colombian people and Spanish people, and they wanted to go salsa dancing. And I was thinking, oh, I much prefer freestyle. I don't want to be learning or going to some salsa thing where I don't know the music. I can't even dance salsa. But I went along anyway because these were my good friends and they were very funny and entertaining, etc. So anyway, we went to this club, and oh my God, even though we couldn't dance, it was just, the whole thing blew my mind, and I became a complete salsa freak after that. And that event is what brought me, or gave me, Latin fever, and what brought me to live in Barcelona. So you just never know what's going to happen. So I think it's good to say yes to things. And then if you cannot find, this is number 3, if you cannot find the kind of group that you want to be a part of in the place where you live, create it yourself. That's a very good idea. Here in Barcelona, the app Meetup works very well. It's not the only social kind of meetup group. There are others, but it works very well here. And I'm sure wherever you live, there might be Meetup or some equivalent. And it's always good to kind of create your own group with your own rules and your own tastes, etc. Because you never know, other people might be feeling the same way. And whatever your interests are, it's good to kind of have your group and be in charge. For me, for example, I'm in several groups that are concerned with books, personal development, spirituality, veganism, and what else? Yeah, so that's a pretty good mix actually of things that I enjoy, and also public speaking. So they're all kind of the kind of places that I hope to meet my Mr. Mars. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good idea. So all of these groups already existed, and I'm an organizer of 2 of them, but I haven't created my own group. But my dream is, point number 4, I've always wanted to create a speed friending event, something like speed dating, but without that pressure. Because I think sometimes when you go on dates with people you don't really know, or you just kind of seen them, you only kind of know them physically without really knowing who they are. You've seen them in person, or you might have met them online or something. Sometimes it's like a sentimental interview, and it can be a very uncomfortable situation. Sometimes if you change the context and just focus on, let's say, friendship first and just getting to know people, I think that's a much healthier approach. I mean, I really believe that friendship should be your first goal, and just getting to know people. Even if you became friends with a certain person, they might have a friend that you might like. You never know. You're kind of like saying yes and opening to new opportunities. And also, we were discussing this with my vegan friends recently, because we always end up talking about dating. And I think it's very important to focus on friendship first. And some of the guys in the group were saying if they like the look of someone, they'll just kind of like offer them or ask them to go for coffee. And I think, well, if you don't know them at all, that for me is a bit kind of, I don't know, it seems a bit superficial and uncomfortable, but that's just me personally. But some people, it might work for some people, of course. But I think it's good to kind of focus on friendship first, definitely. And speed friending is something that can be a lot of fun, which is basically the same setup as speed dating. So you have some people who would be, let's say half the group would be staying in the same place, and every 3 minutes, boom, the other half of the group would be changing place, so you end up speaking to everyone. And also you can do a bit of a mix at the end, so that the people who haven't moved mix with each other, and the ones who have moved mix with each other as well. And one thing that's quite painful in speed dating, if you've ever done it, is that the conversations tend to be very monotonous and repetitive. It's always, so where are you from? What do you do? And here in Barcelona, where are you from? What do you do? How long have you been in Barcelona for? Oh my God, where did you live before that? So I'm actually going to create my own speed friending event in January, and I'm going to completely forbid these questions. And I'm going to have a list of questions that are going to, let's hopefully provoke deeper connections, which is my 5th point, which is ask better questions. You can find lots of examples of icebreaker questions online, and the type of questions that are more revealing and that reveal more kind of things about a person without being too intimate. And you could connect on things that completely surprise you. I've had these types of situations happen to me in the past, where I've gone to speed networking events, and I've seen someone around, not really thought much of them, and then I realise, oh, we like the same book, or I don't know, we don't drink either, or we've got kind of other things in common, and then that kind of creates a connection. I remember actually meeting a guy in one of these events that who was a nutritionist and a sports person, and I didn't even know that. I was like, oh my God, I'm so into food and sport as well. And then that kind of like helped us to create this kind of new friendship. And I only knew him superficially before that. So I think it's really good to ask better questions. And an example of that would be the 36 questions to fall in love, which is a great, I think it's from a New York Times article, but you can Google it, 36 questions to fall in love, and just choose some of those questions that you think can be interesting without being too intimate. It has things like, who is your ideal dinner guest, or things like that, so you can break the ice and then have a nice little chat with someone, and hopefully it won't be too awkward, because that's the awful situation that can be you want to meet new people, but you're kind of putting yourself in this really uncomfortable situation. And sometimes people think they don't want to kind of go through the uncomfortable situation before possibly meeting someone. But if it's not uncomfortable, then it's all good, and hopefully you'll make some good friends in the process, and you'll gain some new social skills and social confidence. So what about you? What do you think of these tips, and do you have any more to add? It's always good to know new tips about dating, offline dating, and how to meet new people, and hopefully maybe find the love of your life. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'd love to read your comments in the comment section below, and I will see you very soon. And if you have any ideas for new videos, write to me at venus@venusohara.org or leave a comment. Okay, thank you. See you soon.